Serious and you're looking for a Christ man, the one who's knowing it with the Lord, with the Spirit of the Lord, to do his will, I'm that nigga.
One West, 125th Street. Look, y'all put y'all faith in presidents like they gon' change this country. Run the league and let y'all play cause y'all gon' make 'em money. Fuck Obama, he ain't come here on cargo.
American honor don't lack no soldiers. For the spirit of the Lord, we don't lack no soldiers. You understand me?
Same. Black, Hispanic, Native, they hate y'all as the same. Hate Christ in they image, hate you as a slave. God ain't all love, scriptures say he hate. African soft niggas, they know we not the same. School to prison pipeline to get you off the streets. Put you in the cell toilet connected to the sink. Molested as a kid, she prostituted as a teen. The byproduct of Martin Luther King dreams. They just took the yoke off, my nigga, we ain't free. We living bleak in these wastelands of poverty. If you don't know the truth, then the lies sound promising. Prophecy, gift and the curse. Dylan started killing, they was sitting in church. Black folk forgave him, man, this shit is absurd. You should never love your enemy, that shit ain't gon' work. Yeah, fuck dying on your knees, you better die in glory. Man, I joined the UPK, taught me the art of warring. I took a nigga life like mine to be recognized. I feel that pain every day, it can't be reconciled. Pops banging, my sister a prostitute. My brother got life, and somehow I still found the truth. War ready, no cowards, no excuse. Fuck reparations, you can't bandage no open wounds. Blood on the leaves, body swing hung from a noose. I was on a run in Nashville when I found the truth. I called the school, classes being held by the shock on my life. I want to be a gangster like a cop. Do this for my brothers, real brotherhood. Everything we do, we got it out this book. My nigga, I can never be no African. UPK the only authorized acronym. I'm passionate about my brothers and sisters. We in hell, I ain't got nothing against them. That's another religion. If it ain't under YAHANNA, ain't me murdered by them and got a hug from YAHANNA. That's the way out for a coward in my observation. They don't fear the Lord, they indoctrinated. Wolves in sheep clothing, Joe Osteen. Real priests bringing back black royalty. One West on my headpiece, ranking order. Can't let them trick me off the streets, I gotta raise my daughter. I got brothers at the border ducking ICE agents. I got the name change, it was life changing. My family thought it was a gang, put on all black, they said I was going through a phase. It's more of us in jail than it was slaves.
Aquí somos la Escuela Israelita del Conocimiento Práctico Universal. Hoy estamos aquí.
Lord Commandant General YAHANNA I.S.U.P.K.
I.S.U.P.K.
This is what Commander General YAHANNA did. This is what he did.
First camp, I cut off all my dreads. I took an oath when that oil hit my head. Niggas capping like they lids. I'm a priest, I never stick no fork in no pig. I was dead till I found out how to live. This brotherhood taught me how to be a man. I came back to my roots, I had to dig. A couple gaps I had to bridge. I got a rib, I'm married to this work. You wanna serve the Lord, he ain't in the Christian church. I had to dig.
That's right. Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to isupk.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West. They're one West. They're one West.
Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Brakatham to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemalatham, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai to all the sisters. So, like, let me turn off the AC. We got again, Shalom, Yahweh Shai, Brakatham to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemalatham, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai to all the sisters. I'm Priest Officer 500 Barak Yala with the I.S.U.P.K, which stands for the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. So, 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General YAHANNA. You understand? Since 1969, be teaching you nothing but the truth about who you are. Who am I addressing? So-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians whose identity was stolen from them, whose identity was robbed and spoiled from them. You understand? The only people who don't have an identity right now. Why? Because they were, how you say it, their heritage was lost. You understand? That's why. This is who we're addressing. Since 1969, we're teaching you who you are, right? Because you need to know who you are in order to know what is your culture, what is your language, your constitution. And again, just like every Thursday, we have these Brotherhood class where we teach you who to love, how to love who you should love, instead, and who to hate. Because yes, the Bible says there's a time for love and there's a time for hate. Now, when it's time to hate, who should you hate is the question. You know, this is part 4 of our topic. We all we got. You know, in these perilous times that we're in and that are about to get worse, we're about to see how really we are all we got. Who's we? So-called Blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians, men, women, and children. We're all we got. We cannot rely on anybody else but our own people. You understand? And a lot of us are realizing today, right, that really there is no way we can rely on anyone else but us. How are we realizing that? The harshest way possible. Have you seen the what do you call it again? The result of a trial of Carmelo Anthony? You understand? Someone fought to have a white lawyer. That person was definitely part of the problem that we face in our community. You understand? So damn, Salaki. That person was definitely part of the problem. You know, all you so-called people that voted for Trump to deport Mexicans, y'all are part of the problem. You know, you foundational Black American, right, who hate Haitians and Jamaicans and Latinos, regardless of their skin complexion, y'all are part of the problem. And this is what we understand tonight, that we're all we got. We better start relying on each other. The Bible says, gather together, O nation not desired. You understand? Y'all better start joining one another, gathering together. You're going to have no choice but to do so. You know, like we brought out last week, we weren't able to bring out these precepts, right? But how many of y'all that grew up in the city know how to grow tomatoes? How many of y'all? You're going to have to rely on the Mexicans. They know how to grow fruits and vegetables. You're going to have to rely on the Mexicans. You're going to have to, you foundational Black Americans are going to have to rely on them Haitians that grew up in the islands. You're going to have to rely on the Jamaicans and the Colombians because they know how to grow food. You know, you sisters that were taught that y'all do not need a man. Y'all about to find out the harsh way that, yes, you do need a man. You do need a man. You understand? And we're about to see this. We're going to get into these precepts, right? And we're not going to do a part 5. We went through it. Y'all watch part 1. Y'all go watch part 2. Part 1 was Officer 5000 Malak. Part 2 with now newly raised up Captain 10,000 Kazak Ahmad. We did part 3 with Officer 1000 Shaya 1. You understand? Y'all go rewatch these classes if you missed them. But you're going to have to understand, we are all we got. There, like, especially right now. Right now, it's not the time to separate families. Right now, it's definitely not the time to separate families. It's not the time to fight against one another. You're going to have to be more patient than ever right now. Do you know the amount of oppression that we're about to go through at the hands of these oppressors? Iki Lashes, I'm about to answer your question in a second. You know, do you know the amount of oppression we're about to go through right now? Like, imagine that. Then we're going to have to see, we got to have no choice but to be patient with one another. Have no choice but to rely on one another. Men is going to have to rely on women. Women is going to rely on men. All 12 tribes are going to have to rely on one another. Ain't no choice. And this is how you know. First of all, you need to know who you are. So-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native are one and same people. We're the same blood, one family. We are the 12 tribes of Israel, the Israelites, the real biblical Jews of antiquity. That's first and foremost. Because just like any other nation, they could rely on their own people because they know who is their people. The whole Muslim world relies on their people. All Arab countries supported Palestinians as they should. They're Arabs. You know, Africans are supporting other Africans about kicking out white colonialists. They should. They're Africans. The Hawaiians are supporting the Tongans and the what's the other people over there that look like The Rock, right? All these so-called Polynesians, which are really Japhites according to the Bible, they support one another as they should. It's their own people. But it's time for us to support one another. It's time for us to look at a Haitian like, yo, you know, I'm going to have to rely on them regardless. Not because I'm in need, but because we're the same people. We should have to rely on one another. It's not even about, you know, being used, right? Because everybody's using a person. But we're the only people that is being misused by everybody else. You know? Like, how many of y'all are drinking juice right now? Orange juice, strawberry juice. I have strawberries in your grocery stores and all types of fruits or vegetables. That's because y'all are misusing Mexicans. Y'all are misusing Latinos. You misuse the Native American Indians. They taught the settlers to come over here and to not die of hunger, to not die of thirst, to not die of goddamn cold. What y'all do in return? Y'all committed a genocide on Native American Indians. What you do in return when the Mexicans are making sure you have fruits and vegetables in grocery stores, you deport them. And you listen, do you know how many unalivings there are in ICE detention centers? And now I think they just passed a law where they're not going to report any more of the unalivings. Anyone passing away, they're not reporting it no more. While they make sure you have food in your grocery stores. You understand? Are you happy to have Chicago? You're proud to have Chicago? Chicago's a beautiful city. Chicago is one of the richest cities, right? Well, guess what? A Haitian man founded Chicago. What y'all do with the Haitians? Y'all call Haiti a shithole country and you deport all the Haitians. We're about to get into it where, you know, we're going to have to rely on one another. And there's not going to be a choice. You understand? We're going to have to learn how to forgive one another. You know, we're going to have to suffer one another. We're about to be in a different type of oppression like never seen before. Y'all better listen. Y'all better be patient with that woman of yours. Y'all better be patient with your children. You women are better be patient with your men. Y'all better be patient as brothers and as sisters. You're going to have no choice. You understand? But real quick, right? I see 2 questions, which I'm going to answer real quick. Why say women need men the hard way? I didn't say women need men the hard way. That's not what I said. But they're going to find out the hard way that they need a man. Yes, so let me get the precept, right? Since you asked the question. Both of y'all asked a question, as a matter of fact. I'm going to get the precept where women are going to find the hard way that they need a man. Bear with me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. Ruby. We're going to go to the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 12, verse 29, and Ecclesiasticus chapter 36, right? Matthew chapter 12, I say verse 29. Let me share my screen. In Ecclesiasticus as well, in the Apocrypha. Chapter, what I said, 36. We're going to start at verse 24. Let's start at Ecclesiasticus first. So we're just so y'all know, we're live on I.S.U.P.K. Toronto, Montreal, Boston, and IET on YouTube, and I.S.U.P.K. Montreal in Canada on Facebook, and Barack Yalla UPK on Bigo. If y'all want to see the screen, y'all go to the YouTube channel. This is Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, chapter 36, verse 24. He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. You understand? He that gets a wife beginning a possession, meaning what? You belong to that man. You understand? And it's not just belonging to a man. Don't get it twisted, right? It's not just belonging to a man. When you buy something, when you own something, when something is passed down to you, what happens? You are responsible for it. You understand? And I know it can sound confusing. It can sound, a lot of people say it's what's the word again? Misogynistic. It's really not. You know, that's really out of love. And I pray you understand. Let me get you real quick and then we'll get back to it. Proverbs. And y'all gonna understand how us Benjamites, West Indian people speak when I'm bringing to you Proverbs before we get back to Ecclesiasticus, right? Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 22 says this: whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Listen, this is the way us Benjamites, the tribe of Benjamin, you know, the West Indians speak. Like, yo, this is my thing right there. She's my thing. You understand? That's biblical. It says, whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing. You understand? Meaning what? Listen, he's looking for one. Just like any man is looking for a woman. The sex is marriage. Once you look for that woman, you find her, you lay down with her, that's your wife, you find it a good thing. The Lord said that it's not good for a man to be alone. He needs a helpmeet, meaning a good help. You understand? That's the old English word. Meet is good. You know, he needs a good help and obtained favor of the Lord. You find a good thing, yo, that woman, she's you obtain favor of the Lord. The Lord blessed you with that woman. And don't think because you obtain favor of the Lord, right? Because Adam did, he got Eve. Don't think you're not going to have to argue with that woman. Don't think marriage is just sex is marriage and that's it. No, marriage is work. Marriage is work. You're going to have, like, who said it? Manager YAHANNA said this Monday. If you're ready to work on that marriage, don't get married. If you are a lazy man, do not get married at all. Don't. You understand? Do not get married at all. You're not ready to work. If you're not ready to work out an issue with your woman, do not get married. You're not ready for that. You understand? He's so fine. It says again, whoso findeth a wife, find a good thing and obtain favor of the Lord. SHALAM. You understand? That's what you need to understand. So even then, when it says in Ecclesiasticus 36:4, just to answer your question again, right? It says, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession. When you are passed down a possession, when you are passed down something, when you are passed down or you buy anything, you know, that thing that belongs to you now, you are responsible for it. Don't think, yo, you see, there's two ways of looking at it. There's taking care of something and not taking care of it. Either way, it belongs to you. You understand? A help like unto himself, like I said, Eve was a helpmeet, a good help unto Adam. That wife is a help to you. She's supposed to help you. You know, y'all gonna go through thick and thin. I'm gonna get to your question again, beauty. And a pillar of rest. But this is the part where women are gonna learn the hard way that they're going to need a man. Right? This is the part. I just give you the context real quick. That whoso getteth a wife beginneth a possession, right? Now, verse 25, where no hedge is, there the possession is spoiled. Do you know what a hedge is? Well, beauty and the other person who asked the question, a hedge is like a fence. A hedge, y'all look up the movie, I think it's a kid's movie, it's called Over the Hedge, right? A hedge is like a fence. It serves as a barrier to protect from, for lack of better words, outside forces. When I mean outside force, I mean physically. It's just to protect. Really, it's like a barrier, and the barrier serves to protect anything from going out into a dangerous zone, as well as anything dangerous from coming in. That man is the hedge or the protection of that woman. Where there is no hedge, where there is no protection, the possession is spoiled. It's up for grabs for anyone. You understand? Anyone could take that woman. Anyone could ravish that woman any type of way. And if you have children, good night. We are in a time. Listen, we're in a dangerous time where our people need each other more than ever. Women are going to need the men. They're finding out the harsh way because our women, Blacks, Latinas, and our Native American women were taught that they do not need a man. They were taught to kick the men out the house. Well, it says what? Ecclesiasticus 36:25. Where no hedge, where there is no protection, there the possession is spoiled. They're going to find out the harsh way that they need a hedge. They need protection. Damn, they can't even kill the spider in the house. They're afraid of roaches and ants and spiders. Imagine an actual danger in the household. You understand? And he that had no wife will wander up and down mourning. So like let me get to Matthew 12:29. Just to answer your question, Beauty, what's the part of the West Indian dialect? Proverbs 18:22. Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Us Benjamites or West Indian, we call her woman. That's my thing. My woman is my thing. You understand? And that's biblical. Now, Matthew chapter 12, verse 29. Or else, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods? The word spoil is an old English word to mean to rob. How can someone rob your house? How can someone steal from? How can someone, go up and down your house and just take all your possession? What belongs to you? That woman. What? Don't think material possession. That when I said Proverbs 18:22, that woman, she's my thing. She belongs to me. Those children are mine. You understand? They're my children. It's my family. Think more so like that, not just a TV. Good. Take the TV, goddammit. Lord be with you, because Ruby's in my Shamar dog is in the building too. But the point is this: don't think more so material, right? Think more so, my family, my wife, my children, or wives if you have more than one. Think so like that. My people who can come into my community. That's why our community we have so many, they call it, they coined the term YN, young niggas. We why? Because they lack a male or a father figure. It says again, Christ said, or else how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man? Our women are in danger. Our children are in danger. Why? Because there is no man in the house. There is no black man in the house. There is no Latino man in the house. There is no strong native man in the house to protect those women. You know how many native women go missing every day in Canada, throughout the Americas? They're talking about Amber Alerts this, Amber Alerts that. They're making alerts for little white girls missing. But what about our people? We're in the book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 29 right now. Or else how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods? In order for your goods to be spoiled, your goods is your possession, your things, right? Something that's valuable. You understand? In order for these to be spoiled, for these to be taken from you, that strong man needs to be bound. He needs to be restrained. He needs to be out of the picture. And that's how our women, just to answer your question, are going to find the hard way that they need a man. And when they need a man, they need a strong black, Latino, or native man. You cannot sleep outside your race. Let me finish the verse again and then we'll move on, right? And I hope I pray I answer your question. Matthew chapter 12, verse 29. Or else how can anyone enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods? How can anyone come and rob you of your goods, of your possession, of your woman, of your children, of your family, of your people? Except he first bind the strong man. The first step is to get rid of that strong man. The first step is to move the black men out of the black household, the Latino men out of the Latino household, the native men out of the native household. And when I say black, Latino, and native, it don't matter if they marry to a black, Latino, and native woman, because they are the same people. I'm just using these terms for whoever, to understand just in general. That's why I'm using these terms. But really, they are Israelites. Israelite men removed from the Israelite household. That's how they're able to destroy Israelite families. Right? Except he first bind the strong men, and then he will spoil his house. That's the first step. First of all, you need to remove that protection. That man, as we just read in Ecclesiasticus 36 and 25, he is the protection of the household. He is the hedge of these possessions. He protects the family. You understand? Once that strong man is out of the picture, then and only then the family could be robbed. The family could be spoiled. The woman is in danger. The children are in danger. Why? Because there is no protection. There is no man that's there to protect them. And that's how our sisters, black, Latina, and native, are going to learn that they need a man. They need that protection. They need that hedge around them, to protect the children. There's not going to be any time for you to argue about, I don't want to share my man. Listen, you're going to need what you call food on your plate. You're going to need food on your plate. You ain't going to have time to worry about if to argue about not wanting to share your man. You ain't even going to have that thought on your mind. You're going to want to feed your children. Y'all go watch the lecture Commander YAHANNA did last year in Midwest Fire Weekend, right? Where do we go from there? He said, a lot of y'all think y'all really badass, right? A lot of y'all think y'all gangsters and thing, right? Imagine this. It's easy for anyone to pull a trigger. It's easy for anyone to take a life. You know what y'all not ready for, though? Especially when there's less consequences that come with it, because it's about to come a time where consequences are not going to be enforced like they are today. But what you're not ready for is y'all not ready for seeing one of your loved ones, especially a young one, die in front of you. Not even about someone taking his life, but die of hunger because you can't feed them. Why? Because you are too busy arguing about you can't share your man. You don't want to share your man. You're too busy arguing about, well, that nigga ain't shit. That nigga that will bring that food on the table, he ain't shit. I don't want to be with him no more. You're too busy about, you know what? I'm going to kick that woman out the house because for whatever reason, there is no grounds for you to divorce that woman unless she commits adultery. But because she hit you across the head with a frying pan, now you're like, you know what? Out the house. Or because she argues too much. For whatever reason, she stink. I don't care. I don't know. The point is, you're gonna have to stick with one another. It's gonna be a harsh time where you're going to have to stick with one another. You're gonna find the hard way, because once that woman that was able to feed the children because she had a skill as far as growing some stuff, or even vice versa, that man know how to grow some stuff and he could feed the children. Guess what? You're the reason why those children die. You will be the reason why your child dies. You will be the reason why your family is spoiled, or your family is destroyed. Why? Because you're too focused on the indoctrination of the white man and on your emotions. And that goes both for men and women. It's especially men, right? Because women are going to be emotional regardless. And it doesn't excuse your behavior when you're emotional, though. But men have to be able to control the emotions better than women, because they're the leaders. You can't act on emotions. That's why we're the leaders. We're practical. Women are emotional, which is fine. But that doesn't excuse you acting erratically based on your emotions. You understand? Now, I just see another question before we move on. EK Lashes, I'm not sure what your race is, but if you could answer my question after I answer yours, right? What is your ethnical identity, or what is your ethnicity? Now, EK Lashes' question is, so you're saying only same-race men can protect their households? Absolutely. Absolutely. The proof is all these black women, for example, that marry white men end up dead. These Latinas that marry white men end up dead. These natives that marry white men end up dead. And I'm not even speculating. That's a fact. Y'all could look it up. That last sister, she went on a trip to Tanzania with this bald white man. She ended up dead, and it says she unalived herself. This sister in Colombia, she went on a Tinder date with this white man. She got found in pieces, literally chopped in pieces in his suitcase. All these missing and murdered indigenous women, most of them are being kidnapped by white men. Pocahontas is a perfect example. Pocahontas existed. She's a true historical figure. She got kidnapped and she was underage. You understand? She got sex trafficked. I think they still have her body in England. We're not just speaking on, yeah, you know what? The hell with these other nations. We have laws in the Bible. Israelites are not to mess with these other nations. Not any of them. You understand? Now let's move on, right? Again, like I was saying, we are going to have no choice but to rely on one another. Let me get that precept real quick, right? Y'all seeing how our people today are being oppressed more than ever. And it's about to get worse. We spoke to a sister yesterday, and she was an older sister, right? She was saying, yo, damn, she feels like we're in a worse time than Jim Crow. Why? During the time of Jim Crow, not only we had no choice but to separate, which is amazing, because segregation was not even that bad when we look into it. Why? You know what? Our people complain that they cannot go in the same swimming pool as white people, drink from the same water fountain as the people who kiss their dogs in the mouth, and use the same bathroom as the people who don't even use wash rags, who let the water drip down their leg. That's crazy. We complain for that. Now, you know what happened then? After integration, we get a young black man that was convicted of murder and got 35 years. He was convicted by an all-white biased jury, and with a judge and DA that was friends with the family of the so-called victim, who was really a perpetrator. Right? That's what integration got us. Integration got Carmelo Anthony 35 years. Integration is the reason why the brother Cyrus got gunned down by some Chinese that we decide we wanted them in our neighborhood as well. That's what integration got us. Segregation was not bad at all. And our people are going to realize more than ever that we have to separate from every single heathen. As a matter of fact, let me get that real quick, right? We are to be a separate nation. You understand? We are to be a holy people. That's what it says. Holy in the Hebrew is quadash, meaning separate. We are to be set apart. The Lord never meant for us to be joined together with everybody. Not even us, any nation. The Tower of Babel got split. The Tower of Babel is a perfect example of integration, a melting pot. The Lord said, hell no. The Lord flooded the earth because of interracial marriages. So what makes you think we were supposed to integrate with everybody? You understand? Let me get that real quick, and then we'll get a revelation. We go to Leviticus, where is it? 19. Leviticus chapter 19, or is it 20? It's Leviticus, Leviticus 20. Let's start at verse 7, right? The book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 7, it says, sanctify yourselves, therefore, and be ye holy. What does the word sanctify means? You know, see, the thing is that a lot of people, they just go in the Bible and read words talking about sanctify, meaning, you know, pour some holy water on your head and pray over something or whatnot. Let's go into the definition of the word to understand its meaning. Doesn't it make sense to do so? When you don't understand a word, you look for the definition of it. What is the word? What is the verb to sanctify means? And then you understand this. By the way, the Old Testament was written for Israelites only. The New Testament was also written for Israelites only. We don't teach that in church, though. Now, let me pull that up. I'm going to give you The Merriam-Webster definition of sanctify, to sanctify. To sanctify, I don't know if y'all can see it on the screen. It says, to sanctify means, let me see if I can zoom in a bit more. There you go. To sanctify means to make something holy. So to sanctify means to make holy, right? To sanctify means to make something holy, to free it from sin, or to set it apart for a sacred special purpose. In a broader sense, it could also mean giving official or social approval to our practice. Essentially, it means to make something holy. We just read the context. It says, sanctify yourselves, Leviticus 20:7, speaking to the Israelites, and that's in the law. Meaning what? If it's in the law, that means you have to do it. It is not a discussion. You have no choice but to do it. Shalom Karnal, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua Brakatah. You understand? Shout out to my nigga Aizan Ban Yashikar. And we're going to get on that topic with Yashikar and all the Latinos, the so-called Northern Kingdom, because, you know, before we move on from this, right? Again, the children of Israel, blacks, Latinos, and native, were ordered to be sanctified. They were told to sanctify themselves, meaning what? To be holy. It says, sanctify yourselves, meaning to make holy, and be ye holy. It lets you know you have to be holy. That's in the law. Meaning what? If you go against the law, integration is a sin. Joining with everybody is a sin, because the law tells you you are to be holy. If you go into the Hebrew word kodash, right? Holy, which is kodash in Hebrew, means to be set apart, to be separate, not to be integrated. Inter means to enter, right? Integrate is to enter with everybody else, to mingle with everybody. Listen, the Lord said, be ye holy, man. The Lord said, be separate. Make sure you make yourself set apart. For I am the Lord your God. Let's keep reading. Verse 8. And ye shall keep my statutes and do them. You know, not everybody keeps the statutes. The laws were only given to the nation of Israel. That's what? Psalms, what is it? Psalms 147, 19 and 20. The laws, the statutes, the commandments, the judgments that goes with these commandments, the judgments that goes with breaking these laws were only given to the nation of Israel. And do them, I am the Lord, which sanctify you. The Lord God is the one who sanctified you. He's the one that set you apart. He didn't mean for everybody to be gathered together. He didn't mean for all nations to be under one umbrella of what Michael Jackson said, we are the world, we are the children. He never meant so. He flooded the earth for interracial marriages. He scattered the nations from the Tower of Babel. They were not even Israelites. And then when the Israelite came on the scene, he told the Israelite, yo, you're special. You are to be separate. I am sanctifying you. That's what he says. He says, I am the Lord which sanctify you. He's the one that made you separate. You understand? I'm going to get to your question in a second, Lashes. Right? Let's jump down to verse, what is it? Verse 20. Salakia. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 26. For time's sake, yeah? It says, and ye shall, Salakia, and Leviticus 20 and 26, and ye shall be holy unto me. The Lord said, you are to be separate for me. You understand? For I, the Lord, am holy, because the Lord is also separate. He's not for everybody. The Lord, the God in the Bible, is the God of the children of Israel only. That's it throughout the Bible. You understand? And I have severed you. To sever means to cut off. If you get into an accident, you know, let's say an accident in a warehouse, for example, you get a finger severed, it means cut off. The Lord cut us off. He set us apart from other people, meaning other humans, other nations. A people is a nation. You understand? That ye should be mine. We belong to the Lord, not everybody. That's what we need to be understood. You know, that's the first step. segregation was not that bad. Segregation is the law. We are to be set apart, separate. You understand? Now let me get to the question real quick. So what do you stream most? Listen, we teach the truth on all platforms. That's what we do. We teach Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. They're the real biblical Jews of antiquity, and that is more, and that with that identity come a structure, a way of life, a moral code that needs to be followed to the T. There's a blueprint to fixing our community. First and foremost, the first instruction is, well, the first step of fixing our community is to know who we are. You understand? Trying to say, so you're saying we shouldn't integrate with other groups at all? When I say we shouldn't integrate with any other groups, I'm talking specifically for my people, the so-called Black, Latino, and Native, the Israelites, should absolutely not integrate. It goes against the law. We just read it in the law. The law says that we are to be holy. It speaks to the Israelites. Black, Latinos, and Natives are to be set apart from everybody else. Lashley said, wait, that's different from what I heard in church. Yes, because the church is the house of Satan. The church is a whorehouse and a gay club. That's why it's different than what you heard in church. You understand? The church do not teach the truth of the Bible. The church, you want to know what the church teaches? The church teaches Romans 1:25. Who turned the truth of God into a lie? That's the Roman Catholic Church, right? Let's move on. Again, we are all we got. That's the topic of the class. We're all we got. Blacks, Latinos, and Native, we're all we got, you know. And we're learning the hard way that, listen, with these famines that are coming, right? Y'all could watch, what's his name again? His name is the Canadian Prepper. You understand? I think he's a brother, right? The Canadian Prepper. He interviewed some white man, a retired Green Beret. He's talking about, yo, you know the famines are coming. They've been talking about it for over 5 years. They're banning fertilizers, which is a step. Why? Because fertilizers are used to grow food. You understand? They've been saying they've been putting videos out here. I think it's called culling. They're culling livestock. Is it the proper term? Let me look it up. Salaki, I don't want to misuse a term or just invent a word, right? But I do think it's culling. Yeah, it's culling livestock, whether it's sheep, cattle, anything, right? They're culling, meaning they're killing a lot of them, you know. Damn, there is a new plague. Apparently, there is a new plague that is infecting Texas beef. It's called the screwworm. Famines are coming. Because if there's so much beef infected, you're not going to take a chance. They're going to cull all these beef. Cull all the cattle, you know. You're not going to take a chance. And what happens then? How do you put food on your table? You're going to have to rely, again, going back to my brother Aizan, you're going to have to rely on the Mexicans. Mexicans, they know how to grow some food. You foundational Black Americans are talking about, you know, brothers like Officer Adayar or myself or Officer Shia One, we're not Black because we're not Black Americans. You're going to have to rely on us. We know how to grow some food. We're going to have to rely on one another. There's no choice. You're going to realize the hard way too. You know, let me get Proverbs 17:17. This is what we don't understand. We're all we got. Like the title of the class, we're going to repeat that until, you know, Christ comes back. Even after Christ comes back, don't you know we're all we got? The Bible tells you that. You know, Proverbs 17:17 says, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born in adversity. Adversity is these harsh times we're about to go through. You know, is these harsh times. Listen, these white supremacists are getting bolder and bolder and bolder. Like I said, women are going to learn that, damn, I need that man in the house to protect me from these white supremacists. I need that man in the house to protect me from these East Indian sexual deviants. You know, I need that man in the house. You got them Trump supporters are going to realize, you know what? I need I need to rely on the Mexicans because I don't know how to grow lettuce. I need to rely on them Haitians because I don't know how to grow rice. I need to we are to rely on one another. I need to rely on them natives because they know where can I grow certain crops at what time of the year, as they taught the pilgrims. The difference is that they were doing it in how you call it again? In not good gesture. Damn, I forgot what's the term for it. The point is they did it. You understand? They did it. Now, you being the same people as them, you're gonna have to realize, yo, ain't there's no time to beef with one another. Now we have to rely on one another because brothers are born through adversity. You're gonna see that those brothers is not the white men that you prostitute yourself for to get the love that you will never get from them. Your brothers are not the sci-fi omega sodomites that you prostitute yourself for to be accepted in those white colleges, gyrating like a goddamn salt shaker. Salak. Your brothers are those Mexicans that fought for you during slavery. This is the reason why they lost Texas, the Battle of the Alamo. You understand? Those brothers are those Haitians that fought throughout the Americas after they freed themselves from slavery. They fought throughout the Americas to help, you understand, push the abolition of slavery everywhere. These are the brothers that are born in adversity. Those harsh times, you're going to have to rely on those brothers, man. No choice. You're going to have to, you know. What you going to do? You're going to be like the, what's the name again? Enrique something of the Proud Boys. This cat, is he cute? Yeah, he's Cuban, siding with white people. This man is them. He's clearly a nigga. You know, he's gonna have to see that, yo, this time will come when those Proud Boys of Caucasian descent are going to want to lynch him if they haven't tried yet. And he's gonna call back Commandant John Yohanna, say, you know what, Salakia, I'm gonna humble myself. You were right. We are to separate from them. I pray it's not too late for him to do so. You know, but a lot of our people are gonna realize we can't rely on them. You know what happened? We relied on them, and then Carmelo Anthony got 35 years in prison for self-defense. That's what happened. Give me one moment, Baba Kushai. 1 second. Salakia. We're going to see that we have nothing but each other to rely on. You know, whether it's the woman needing a man, but really as a people, that's what matters the most, as a people. And people are comprised of what? Families. Going back to the man needing the woman needing a man. Listen, even when I said the woman needs a man, the man's going to need that woman as well to watch the kids at home. You know, we need one another. You understand? But the sad part is this, right? This is why we have these classes. Then you're every day of the week. I myself teach every other week in French and in English, the Brotherhood class, right? Because we're taught to hate one another. Black, Latinos, and Natives are taught to go at each other's throats. Men and women are taught to go at each other's throats. You know by who? By our oppressor. Who's the goddamn devil the Bible speaks of? The Caucasian race destroyed our household. The Caucasian race programmed us into hating one another. Y'all don't believe me? Look up what is the Buffalo Soldiers. A lot of natives have a ought with black people because of Buffalo Soldiers, which were probably like a couple hundred men that push colonization westward, right? But they were conditioned into thinking, you know what, you're going to be freed from slavery. You're going to have to help us get more native land. A lot of black people are against the natives because they were taught natives or enslaved. Really, it was probably like just 5 nations, right? They call themselves nations, 5 so-called nations that own slaves in the bad way. What do I say in the bad way? Because the rest of the natives that own slaves, they did so to free them. They purchased slaves, But once they were in their quote unquote possession, they were not considered slaves no more, and they intermarried one another throughout the Caribbean, throughout Central, South, North America. We intermingle one another. Spain, the British, the French, Portugal had to put in place specific laws to prevent Negroes and indigenous people to join with one another. That's how I'm telling you. We were conditioned to be at each other's throat. We were conditioned to hate them. Y'all being told Mexicans take the jobs. What black man is going to work in the field to pick some fruits? Talking about Mexicans take the jobs. What black men do you see at Home Depot? Mexicans take the job. What do you mean Mexicans? What black jobs do Mexicans take? The white man was not giving you jobs even before this. They were giving the Mexicans jobs. What do you mean? You see, this is just propaganda that's being pushed to make sure you hate one another and you don't gather together. Let me get this real quick. This is the book of Revelation, like I was saying, right? Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Again, this is a metaphor, and the whole book of Revelation is a vision given by John the Revelator. You can't read everything, right? And I'm going to get to y'all in the comments in a second. You can't read every single thing in a literal sense as it's a vision. You understand? Even in Revelation 12, when it talks about a dragon, it's talking about our oppressor. That woman that is talking about, it's talking about the nation of Israel. You understand? So when it says Revelation 12 and 12, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. The seas are just a old term for like a sea of people, a population. You understand? For the devil is come down unto you. That devil is our oppressor. Our oppressor is going to come down on us. Just like you see how a bird of prey, like an eagle or a hawk, dives down on the prey. That's how our oppressor is coming down on us. You understand? He dives down. Let me see if I can find a quick clip, right? For those, again, on the Beagle, if you want to see the clip, y'all go to the YouTube channel. Well, now I'm going to show you a clip of a bird of prey diving down. Don't matter it don't matter which prey. Listen, that's why they named certain I think there's a plane, it's called the Black Hawk. Let me show you right here. Bear with me one second. Let me play this quick clip.
Descending from the sky, striking the neck of a flying bird midair. Actually, this is the peregrine falcon, the fastest flying bird in the world, which uses the stooping technique for hunting. It first soars to great heights in the sky, then dives toward its prey.
You see how it's diving like a goddamn missile? Matter of fact, you see how these planes go down and how they're built? They literally built, that's our oppressor. Our oppressor is not original. Our oppressor, he always did that. That's how he portrays himself as the eagle soaring high in the sky. That's his, to show his might. But it said, the one on the moon, it said the eagle has landed. But let me finish this clip, right?
During the dive, it reaches speeds of up to 390 kilometers per hour. At this I'm
gonna stop it right here. That picture that and now apply it to this precept which I'm reading for you, right? Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, just like that falcon diving down on his prey, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. Our oppressor knows that his time is coming to an end to reign over us. That's why he's going to oppress us more. That's why they open Alligator Alcatraz. That's why they're pushing for more deportation. You know, listen, every single laws that is put in place to oppress blacks, Latinos, and Native is going to get worse. You think it was just a coincidence that it was an all-white jury with Carmelo Anthony? It was not. It is going to get worse. There are going to be more instances. And the sad part about this, right, before I get to the questions on the Beagle and comments, The sad part about this is the same people that complain about the verdict of Rick Child that unalived Cyrus, the same people that complain about the outcome of Carmelo Anthony, they're going to go to church, worship white Jesus, which is really Caesar Borgia. They're going to go to church this Sunday. They're going to light up the grill and light up some fireworks on 4th of July. You understand? They're still going to let other nations and tell them they're invited to the cookout. They're going to turn, they're going to reject white supremacy just to adopt Islam, which is Arab supremacy. You understand? They're not going to separate from their oppressor yet. And that's a sad part of it. The sad part is that we have to be beaten down to the ground till the point where we could barely get up anymore to request for help from our own people. That's the sad part. You understand? You are to be a holy people. We just read it. We are to be separate. Now that we're separate, you know what's going to happen? It's going to be like Jim Crow again. It's going to be like segregation again. What happened during segregation? Don't think we couldn't go in white schools. We couldn't go in white swimming pools. Who cares? You know what happened? We had black schools. We had black colleges. We had black supermarkets. We had black doctors, black dentists. We had our goddamn own airport in Tulsa, Oklahoma. What do you mean? We had no choice but to rely on one another. We're all we got. Let me scroll up on the Beagle and see. There was a few comments and questions, I think. Bear with me 1 second. He says, screw worm plague. That sounds serious. Absolutely, black man. The screw worm, don't think is just a coincidence. All these COVID and screw worm, people are not looking at it in a biblical sense because a lot of people don't believe in the Bible. I'm not expecting them to, especially if it's not for them. When it comes to Israelites, it pertains to us. And all these plagues are to come to pass. I mean, they will happen. We'll have worse plagues than what happened during the time of Egypt in order for this empire to fall down to the ground, to never rise no more. Yes, it is absolutely a plague from the Lord. You talking about the Tree Sisters farming method? That's one way that, you're going to have to rely on the natives for that. Absolutely. What is it? Corn, beans, and something else. Black man said this is really heavy stuff. Listen, tune into I.S.U.P.K in your zone. As a matter of fact, black men, look up the I.S.U.P.K in your zone. That's what you should do. Wherever you are on the planet, there is a school. I guarantee you that. You understand? I think that's it with the comments. You understand? Any questions or comments on the Facebook, YouTube? Make sure y'all type in your questions, your comments. And of course, if you want to contact I.S.U.P.K in Montreal or I.S.U.P.K Toronto, I'm going to put the link in the chat. I'm going to put the phone number. The phone number for Montreal is 438-816-2578. Again, it's 438-816-2578. For Montreal, and for Toronto is 647-793-7844. 647-793-7844. Don't hesitate to call these numbers or to contact the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge in your zone. ASAP. Lord Rakash, Shalom, Brakatah. What's I.S.U.P.K? I.S.U.P.K is the only hope that blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians have. You understand? The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under command in General YAHANNA. Matter of fact, let me get that precept real quick. What is it? Ezekiel 11 and 16. This is I.S.U.P.K right here. People say I.S.U.P.K is not in the Bible. I.S.U.P.K is absolutely in the Bible. Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 16. Therefore say, thus said the Lord God, although I have cast them far off among the heathen. Why? Because the nation of Israel has been cast off throughout the four corners of the earth amongst the strange nations, the non-Israelite nations, as a temporary punishment for their transgression of disobeying the law. What law? One of them we read that we are to be holy. That's in the law. We are to be separated. We are to be what you call segregated and not mix with anybody. You understand? And although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. That's why you have I.S.U.P.K. Boston with Lord Rakar that you see right here, Officer 1000 Rakar Aria. You have I.S.U.P.K. UK. You understand the school is in Birmingham, 394 Lodge Road, Birmingham. I'm the Captain Karathia. You understand I.S.U.P.K. Montreal, I.S.U.P.K. Windsor, I.S.U.P.K. Puerto Rico, Mexico. We are everywhere to help our people, to gather them, to let them know they're the real Israelites, and the solution to their trouble is to come back to the Lord. That's the solution. Throughout these scriptures, you found out that whenever the Israelites transgressed and they were in trouble, the only way they were able to get out the trouble is to come back to the Lord. Now, we tried everything in this day and age. We tried everything but to go back to the Lord, and then we complain about outcomes such as the outcome of Rick Child, the outcome with Carmelo Anthony. All we have to do is come back to the Lord. And I pray no more incidents as these ones ever happen. But our people always had to learn the hard way, and that's sad to say. You understand? Because of the indoctrination that we are the world, we are the children, and we are, love everybody, and listen, trust in the white man. Good night. This goes in the topic again that we're all we got. Let's go to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah chapter 30, and start at verse 1. You're going to see what the trust in the white man did. Trusting in the white man in the shadow of Egypt. You know what that did? That got Carmelo Anthony 35 years. That's what trusting in the white man did to us. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children. Woe is an old English word that means destruction. What was destruction then? Was death. You understand? Woe to the rebellious children. Who are those children? The children of Israel. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. Why? Because the counsel of the Lord is to listen to the laws. Obey the laws and you'll be blessed. Obey the laws will be above everybody. Obey the laws and listen to what I say. That's the counsel of the Lord, but you're doing the total opposite of listening to the Lord. You're listening to the oppressor. You're listening to the white man that said, leave that black man. You don't need him. Go on Section 8. Go on welfare. You need to focus on your career. Go abort these babies and become a living graveyard. That's what the white man told you. Woe to the rebellious children, said the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering. What is a covering? That's the same thing that Adam and Eve did. They covered themselves with the culture of these other nations. The trees in the garden were just other nations, but that's a whole other class, right? They cover with a covering, meaning they protect themselves. That's why you use a covering. Picture, what's it called again? A blanket. You cover yourself with a blanket to protect yourself from the elements, to protect yourself from the cold, right? Well, you covered yourself with the covering, but not of my spirit, not with the spirit of the Lord, which is following the law. And that's how the Lord is a buckler. A buckler is a shield, protection. You understand? You didn't cover yourself with that protection. You covered yourself with what? That they may add sin to sin. You covered yourself with something else than the Lord. Verse 2. That walk to go down into Egypt. If it's not of the Lord, just know it's wrong. that's the point. If it's not the covering of the Lord, it's the covering of these other nations. Now it says that walk down into Egypt. Egypt is a Greek word. Egyptos really means house of bondage. Bondage means slavery, your captivity. You covered yourself with the covering that the white man gave you. Voting, false hope, Christianity. And don't think it's just the white man. Every single heathen. Pan-Africanism, Islam, Buddhism, Confucianism, or whatever nonsense they teach you about. In Hinduism, you do wrong, you die, and then you come back as an ant or some dumb stuff, right? That's nowhere in the Bible. That's nowhere in your culture. You listen to every other people but your own. You listen to every other power but your power, which is the ultimate power. You know how I know these nations don't have no power? During COVID, East Indian prayed to the elephant gods, and elephant gods couldn't cure COVID, and a million Indians died, and they all started throwing their gods away in the river. That's what that happened. Why? Because they couldn't cure COVID. Because our God is a living God. Their God is a statue of an animal. It's a transgender animal. Imagine that. And they said, well, damn, how are we not able to cure COVID in East India? That's how. Because you worship good night. I don't even know what they worship. They worship rats, monkeys, and all types of stuff. Muslims, they're no different. You know, they make you think their God has power. Their God don't. The God don't have the power of the God in the Bible. The God in the Bible is the only true God, meaning power. You understand? And that's what happened when you don't cover yourself with the covering of the Lord. You cover yourself with the covering of these other nations, which is their philosophies, which is the false hope that they gave you. Makes you think, you know what? Maybe I could fight white supremacy by adopting Islam, which is Arab supremacy. Maybe I could fight both of white and Arab supremacy by adopting Pan-Africanism, which is African supremacy. All skin folk is not kinfolk. We're not goddamn Africans. You understand? We're Israelites, and our supremacy is in the Bible. Let me keep reading. Isaiah 30:2. That walk to go down into Egypt. And I'm going to get to the point where how does it relate with Carmelo Anthony? That's how. And have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh. Do you know? I think it was a family member of Carmelo Anthony that suggested a white lawyer. You know how many black people, they refuse to be on the jury in fear of what would happen if the verdict would come out that he's not guilty, or even if he's guilty. If they would side with Carmelo Anthony, they feared what would happen to them and their family. You understand that, right? Our people fear the white man more than they fear the Lord. And Salakia, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Going back to the covering. You covered yourself in the shadow of Egypt. You know what you do when it's too hot, you understand, and you sit into the shadow of a tree? You know why you're sitting in the shadow of a tree? Because you cover yourself with the shadow of that tree for protection from the elements, for protection from the sun. It's too hot. You need to be under the tree, under that shadow for what? To protect yourself. Instead of trusting in the Lord to protect yourself, you trust in your oppressor. You trust in Pharaoh, modern day Pharaoh, which is Donald Trump, Emmanuel Macron. What's the name of the Canadian Prime Minister again? Mark Carney. You trust in your oppressor. Why? Because all he does is really, he's not even that strong. It's a make-believe. It's like what's his name again? The famous magicians, they make you believe they're strong. They're not. You know they did not win a war fair and square against the native, right? They had to poison them. They had to kill the buffalo. They could never fight the native hand to hand. You understand? They tricked the Mexicans. They tricked black people. We think we're just weak and they just won the war. It's not how it happened. It's by deception. He's a cunning hunter. He's cunning. He's, the French word is rusé. He's wicked. That's how he managed to fight wars. He tried to fight He tried to fight the Vietnamese. He lost a war against the Vietnamese. He tried to fight the Afghanis. He lost a 20-year-old war with Afghanistan. Why? Because our oppressor is not that strong. It's make-believe. When he's put to the test, he's losing wars. You understand? Let's go to verse 3. Isaiah chapter 30:3. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame. And that's how he relates to Carmelo Anthony, because we trust in the white man, and guess what? 35 years for self-defense in a self-defense state. We trusted into integration and we lost Cyrus. You understand? What's his name again? Not MLK. Malcolm X trusted in Islam and then the Muslims killed him. You understand? Trusting in the oppressor will be your shame. And once you realize perfect example is Martin Luther King. Once he realized it was a mistake, he was ashamed that, yo, his dream was a nightmare. You understand? The damage was already done. It was an irreversible damage at the time. Right now, we're fixing that mistake. Under commanding Joel YAHANNA, we're taking you back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. And the law said again that ye are to be holy. Ye are to be sanctified, which means to make yourself holy. Make yourself separate. That's in the law. If you are for integration, you are a sinner. If you are integrating, you are a sinner. If you are about interracial marriage, you are a sinner. And God hates sinners. God loves the sin and the sinner. That's not in the Bible. That's some made up stuff from one of those East Indians that worship elephants. Gandhi made that up. And Martin Luther King repeated that. And because he was a Baptist that goes to church to indoctrinate black people in the name of white Christianity and supremacy, y'all believe that it was in the Bible. You can't show me anywhere in the Bible that says God loves the sin and the sinner. God hates the sin but loves the sinner. You can't show me that anywhere in the Bible. I can show you the where it says God hates sinners. Because yes, God hates. Coley Love said, who's your oppressor? Every single nation that is not an Israelite. Caucasians, Africans, Arabs, Asians, East Indians, Hawaiians, Polynesians, Iranis, name it. They're all oppressing my people who are so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. They all oppress Israelites. You understand? That's who the oppressor is, right? And how does it relate again? Let's go to Lamentations to pair that with Lamentations chapter, 4 and 17. And that's how it relates to Carmelo Anthony and all the similar cases. We're still looking for justice from an unjust people, knowing that really we are all we got. What's going to happen when the famine, going back to the famine comes? You're going to ask for the white man for what? What are you going to ask for the white man for? He can't even give, the white man say he's going to cancel food stamps. So you think he's going to give you a bag of rice? Like Joseph did to everybody when there was a famine in Egypt? And we're going to get to that just now too. You're going to see the same thing that happened in Egypt is happening right now. It happened throughout Egypt. It happened throughout all these other empires, the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the Persian Empire. I'm going to show you those same things happening right now. Why? Because blacks, Latinos, and Native, the real Israelites, are in captivity, and the Lord must set the stage to free them from captivity. You understand? Go to Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 17. It says, as for us Israelites, as for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. Why do our eyes fail? Because I'm gonna tell you what it says right here. In our watching, we have watched for a nation. A nation. You understand? Meaning what? For a nation of people. That's what it means. A nation is another word for a race. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that cannot save us. What nation? Mainly the white man. We're watching for so long, expecting from help from the white man. You know what? Our eyes are failing. We can't keep our eyes open no longer. You understand? We're watching for the Arab nation to save us because, you know, they taught us to be Muslims to counteract white supremacy, and they can't. The Arabs hate you damn near as much as the white man. You understand? It's no different. Islam is not going to fix the black community. You know how we know? Because in Philly, they do Ramadan, and once they break their fast, they go out to sell heroin and shoot each other. Malcolm X became a Muslim in prison for protection. What do you mean? And then when he see that it was a mistake, the Muslims killed him. Let's read it again. As for us, Lamentations 4 and 17, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that cannot save us. You understand? We're always looking for outside forces as opposed to see what is in the house that could help. In house, we are the only thing we got is us, relying on one another. No other nation we can rely on, ever. We tried that already. Pan-Africanism. You know how many black people were sent they made up Liberia, a country. Once they were in Liberia, the indigenous people of what is Liberia today, they went to war with the black Americans that were sent there. Why? Because they know we're not the same people. They know it. You understand? A lot of y'all are standing for Iran and Palestine and things. You know what? We understand because we understand oppression better than anyone else. But guess what? These people still hate you too. If these people were not bombarded by Caucasians, you think they would like you? They wouldn't. They wouldn't. There's a hierarchy in Islam. Even non-Muslim Arabs are higher in the Islamic hierarchy than black Muslims. Make you say what? You're watching for a nation that cannot save you. They're not going to help you. None of them are going to push for no drugs in your neighborhood. As a matter of fact, they're pushing more drugs in your neighborhood than you ever do, than you ever will. You think we marched with the Asians or whatnot. You know, we included the Asians in some civil rights march or whatnot. You know what the Asians did? They shot one of our sons for nothing. You understand? They used our plight. They used our pain and suffering to get a Stop Asian Hate Crime bill, to set up shops in black and brown neighborhoods, to turn around and having some individuals like, what's his name? China Max said he was forbidden as a Chinese triad, which is a Chinese criminal organization. He was forbidden to sell drugs in a Chinese neighborhood. He had to sell drugs in blacks and Latino neighborhoods. You understand? That's what integration got us. That's what trusting these other nations got us. We're realizing right now, you know, slowly, and it's sad to say we're realizing slowly because it's time like never before. It's been time like never before to be like, we can't rely on these other nations. We all we got. You understand? These nations know they all they got. The Asian community realizing, yo, we messed up now. We're going to lose all the money. Why? Because we are the product. We make everything great. This Asian, he took down his video talking about, yeah, I dare black people to boycott us. Black people started doing it. Some Asian is saying, yo, you know what? I'm losing money. Why am I being punished for the mistake of one Asian? We're not all the same. Yes, you are. You're all the same and you all hate us. That dumb Asian woman said, let me pull up the video, right? She said that we need to raise our kids right. It's our fault if Cyrus got unalived by Chow. It's our fault that he was innocent? That Chow is a racist? That shot him in the back multiple times? How is it our fault that an innocent black boy got unalived? Make that make sense. Let me get the clip, right? For time's sake, Salakia. Get the clip of that Asian woman. You understand? Bear with me 1 second. If you want to see the clip again, y'all tune into the YouTube channel, I.S.U.P.K. Montreal, Toronto, IIT, or Boston, or Facebook, I.S.U.P.K. Montreal, or Canada. Add that to the stage.
Thanking God that your black ass don't go into their store anymore to cause a muck. You black people with your black fatigue, okay? And what your people call niggerism. You see this whole Cyrus case and Mr. Chow? None of this would have happened if you raise your kids right. That little boy witnessed some of his business trying to steal water, okay? That niggerism attitude failed your kid.
You hear this? And she's lying. She said Cyrus went into the store to try and steal some water. It was proven he had no water that he had even attempted to steal. He didn't. Chow was a racist Chinese. Just like that racist woman right there. I don't care if she's Chinese, she looks Filipino, it don't matter. They all hate us. You know what happened? Instead of focusing on how we raise our kids, you should focus on how you raise your kids. You know, you rat eater. You should focus on how you raise your kids, because if you raise your sons right, they will not try to transition into ladyboys to satisfy the deviant lust of old white men in Thailand. That's what happens. Asian boys become transgenders. They call themselves ladyboys in Thailand, and they satisfy the sexual deviant desire of old white men. If you raise your boys right, they will not be ladyboys. If you raise your daughters right, they will not be prostitutes in Cambodia or Vietnam or wherever the hell you from. You understand? Focus on your kids, because we're going to focus on ours. We're going to let our kids know that we should never integrated with a people that hate us. We should have never watched for a nation that could not save us. We're going back to the lost. We let them know that we are the true biblical Jews of antiquity. We are the Israelites. And as the law says, let's get back to the law, right? Leviticus, what was it again? Leviticus 20 and 7. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 7. Right? Salaki, we're almost done. Leviticus 20 and 7 says this. Sanctify yourselves, therefore, meaning make yourselves holy. Make yourselves separate. That's what it means to sanctify yourselves, to render holy. Holy means what? The Hebrew word for holy is kodash, meaning to be separate, segregated. You're not to mingle with all these other nations. It's a sin to do so. Keep reading. And be ye holy. It reiterates itself. Be ye holy, for I am the Lord your God. Possessive adjective, meaning he is our God, no one else. You understand? Let me give a few more precepts before we end the class. Let's go to Joel chapter 2, verse 27, just to show that he is only the God of the children of Israel and no one else. Which shows, sidebar, it shows what? That the God of the Bible and the God of the Quran is not the same. The God of the Quran is for everybody. The God of the Bible is for the Israelites only. Joel chapter 2, verse 27 says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst, meaning I am among, I am in the middle of them. I am in the midst of Israel. And that I am the Lord your God, possessive, and none else, meaning he's the God of the children of Israel only and no one else. He is the power. God means power, the authority. He is the power of the children of Israel and no one else. And my people shall never be ashamed. You understand? It's time for us to gather together. Let's get that real quick. It's time for us to gather together, man. Like, we're about to be in some perilous times. We're about to be oppressed more than ever. You know, all these prophecies about famines coming to pass will happen. And who you're going to rely on? The white man again. He want to cut off the food stamps. He want to cut off welfare. He want to cut off any assistance that he's been giving you. Who are you going to rely on? You're going to have to rely on one another, man. You know. Donald Trump fired how many black women? Well, what do you mean? Donald Trump fired so many black women, right? A lot of black women who are told you don't need a man. They all got fired. They all got fired. Just to realize maybe now they need a man. What's her name? Vivica Fox says she has a hard time. What is she, 52, 54 years old? She has a hard time finding a man. She divorced her man as a quote-unquote successful black woman. You know, Vivica Fox is an amazing actress, they're going to say, right? She made some money. You understand? She divorced her man because he was making less money than she did. We covered that in the class, a couple months ago, about a Proverbs 31 woman would never divorce. And that's a fact. Why? Because a Proverbs 31 woman, it says at the end of the chapter, she fears the Lord. No woman can leave her man. You understand? Now, she's not special. She's not a special case. She was indoctrinated, just like a lot of black Latinas and Native, to leave their man for whatever reason, especially for money. Because y'all made to worship money. That's how everybody worships money. You understand? You look at the white man, you say he's successful because he has money, not knowing that he's stealing everything. Imagine that. You worship the white man because he has money, but he's stealing everything. He don't make money. He steals money. He steals riches. He steals wealth. He acquire women by, I don't know if I can say that, raping them. He acquired, don't make me start the children. He acquired children, but he traffics children to the Epstein's Island, and he eats them and do the unthinkable. You know, that's our oppressor. That's who you worship because of his money. You understand? But real quick, let's get Zephaniah 2 and 1, right? It says, Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1, gather yourselves together, Yea, gather together. Again, it's like sanctify yourselves and be ye holy. It says it twice. The Lord knows you're a stubborn people. The Lord knows you're stiff neck. You're hard headed. You have to be told twice to be holy. You have to be told twice to gather together. O nation not desired. Who's not desired? I know it's not the Palestinian refugees. I know it's not the Afghani refugees, because I never heard about Mexican refugees. I heard about Mexican deportees. I heard about that. I heard about, stealing more land from the natives. I heard about that. I heard about deporting Haitians. Yeah, I heard about that too. I didn't hear about Haitian refugees. Haitians are denied refugee status. Jamaican, good night. Jamaican and Trinidad, don't make me start. It's a war zone out here. They're denied refugee status. You know who's not denied refugee status? The sleeper cells. The Asian sleeper cells, the Ukrainian sleeper cells, the Iranian sleeper cells, some Irani cat, or no, Lebanese cat. He's seen his family unalived on TV. He took his car somewhere in Michigan. I don't think it's in Detroit. He rammed his car into a synagogue. I was like, damn. Yeah, they don't talk. Listen, they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. Just know that Ishmael is a wild man. That's the Bible says it. What do you mean you're just gonna witness his father being bombarded by Israelis, devils, and then he's not gonna do nothing about it? Yeah, they're gonna do something about it. The point is this: Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are that nation not desired. You understand? That's the point. It tells you to gather together. You're going to have seen multiple examples on how you need, but you have not just you have no choice but to gather together. It's not a choice. It's not up for discussion or nothing. We are, talking about civil wars, world wars, race war. You've been at war since 1492. You've been at war since the Roman Empire. You've been at war with every single nation because they put a hand on your people. The Lord of hosts, his people, it says the nation touched the apple of his eye, the most precious thing. The Lord has a favorite flower. The Lord has a favorite river. He has a favorite bird, the dove. But he also has a favorite people. You understand? You know how we belong to him? Like, that's why he refers to the nation of Israel as a wife, because just like a wife belongs to her husband, that's his possession. We belong to him. We are his children, just like the children is something precious to a father. We belong to him. We're precious to him. You understand? Let me get it real quick. The apple of his eye is in Zechariah. Imagine that. The Lord is going to start a world war just for you. What do you mean? Damn. Zechariah 2 and 8. Read these precepts real quick before we end the class. Zechariah chapter 2 verse 8. For thus said the Lord of hosts, the Lord, which is a man of war. You can find it in Exodus 50:3. That's what a host means. A host is an army. For thus said the Lord of hosts, after the glory had he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you, these nations who robbed you, these nations who deprived you of your identity, of your men, your women, your children, your culture, your custom. They robbed you of everything. For he that touched you touched the apple of his eye. Every single nation had a hand on us, had a hand against us, took part in oppressing us. You touched the apple of my eye. Good night. Do you know what a man would do for a woman? Have you not? Listen, the Lord made us in his image. Do you know how many brothers kill for women? Do you know how many brothers kill and go to jail for their children? You know how many sisters are ready to take lives for their children? You think the Lord is not the same? He made us in his image. The same way a brother is gonna, do the unthinkable to protect his family. The Lord is literally bringing the same plagues, if not worse, that were in Egypt. You understand? and the same level, if not a worse level of destruction than Egypt, than Babylon, than Persia, than the Greco-Roman Empire, just for you. Just for you. All he said is like, yo, you need to come back to the Lord and gather together under one banner. What that banner is? I.S.U.P.K, that little sanctuary. We just read it earlier. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, where two sticks are made one. But there is no northern or southern kingdom. We are one kingdom, one nation again. We are the apple of his eye. We are his precious thing that he's going to destroy this empire for. Right? Real quick, let me go to bear with me 1 second. Let's go to Genesis. Where is it? I think Genesis is 47. Yeah, Genesis 47, start at verse 15 for time's sake. Again, any questions, comments, put in the chat. Y'all click on the sign in link. I forgot to put a sign in link and put it there. Sign in and sign out link. Right. In the chat. If you want to be part of the school, do your 90 days, obtain that Hebrew name, change, become the new person, the new creature you are called to be. You understand? The Lord called you to be, and make a change and serve the Lord and show your people how to serve the Lord, right? And I said Genesis chapter 47. Genesis chapter 47. Yeah, let's start at verse 15 for time's sake. It's the book of Genesis chapter 47, verse 15. And when the money failed in the land of Egypt, listen, that's during the famine. Pharaoh had a dream. 7 kine, which are cows, right? That's an old English word for cows. 7 cows that were grazing by the riverbed got eaten up by 7 cows that came out of the river. You understand? 7 ears of corn. Is it corn or wheat? I forgot, whichever, it doesn't matter. Paraphrasing. Got taken over by dried up wheat. It was a prophecy that was given unto Joseph to Pharaoh, and Joseph interpreted. He interpreted, however you pronounce that dumb English word, right? He gave the interpretation of the dream of Pharaoh that, yo, this is a famine that's coming. 7 years of famine, 7 years of plentiful. 7 plentiful years are going to be replaced by 7 years of famine. A lot of people are going to die. During that time, guess what happened? Just like today, the currency is failing. The dollar's crashing. The economic structure of this empire, just like in Egypt, is failing. You're about to see your dollar is not going to be worth anything. Just like it was in Egypt. It says, and when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, Salaki, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence, for the money faileth? You're going to be like, yo, again, there is a famine. You understand? And the money will fail. You're going to go ask for help. Do you know how we were able to survive? People don't understand how, yes, Joseph was put in a position of power. You understand? Yes, Joseph was an Israelite. He was put in a position of power. But here's the thing, though, right? Don't look at it like we're going to be able to trust in a brother or sister that's in a position of power in the white man's government. Don't look at it like that. Even though that's the case with Joseph, he was in a position of power in another nation's government. But today, the Pharaoh that you have over you is the same type of Pharaoh that did not know Joseph, that did not give a damn about Israelites. Food will be controlling the people. But that's not even where you want to get it at, because that's at the time. Let's read it again. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money failed. Listen, the economy is collapsing. But let's keep reading, right? Economy, just like in Egypt, will collapse. And it's collapsing right now. We're about to be in the same damn time of Genesis 47 and 15. In a minute, probably tomorrow, yesterday, tonight. Verse 16, and Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle. If money fail, you're going to have to start giving your goods, because the money will fail. A lot of people are like, they're going to sell everything. Let's go to Ecclesiastes, 2nd Esdras real quick for time's sake, right? The point is, I'm just making long story short. You're going to have to give your goods. If you read on down, people start selling houses, their pieces of land. Why? Because they're starving and they need to feed themselves. All your riches won't matter. Your chain won't matter. You're going to have to go pawn your chain, pawn your Cadillac, pawn your cars, and nobody's going to want to buy that. It's too expensive. What matters is going to be able to start feeding our people. We're going to have to realize, just like we had to rely on Joseph, we had to rely on one another to survive back then, we're going to have to rely on one another to survive today. You understand? I say 2nd Esdras chapter 15, because in those times, this is the time that we're about to be in again, right? Which is going to be even worse. Why? Because in the time that we're in, this is what you will see will happen when the money fails. When not only the money fails, but when you have either nothing to give up for money, no cattle, no goods to exchange for food to feed your family. This is exactly what will happen. As economy collapses, as the governmental structure collapses, as society collapses in general, because our present empire is falling apart to never rise again. This is exactly what will happen, right? 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 16. We're going to go a bit quick because we're running out of time. Just like the oppressed, it's a lot. 2nd Esdras 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men. Sedition is like riot, uprisings, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. There's going to be a time when nobody's going to regard the authority. I think you already seen that. You remember when they unalived the little Arab kid in France? They literally rammed a car in the mayor's house, the mayor's office. They rioted. They burned down France. They're burning down France right now for a football game. Donald Trump got shot in the ear. Charlie Kirk got unalived like a deer in the neck. That's when it's talking about they shall not regard their kings nor princes. Nobody's going to give a damn about whatever authority is in place at the time. There's going to be a time where, like I said earlier, you think is, y'all going to be badasses because you're going to try and take a life, and there's not going to be authority to enact judgment or consequences to the act that you commit. You're not ready for to see your loved one dying of hunger. And because of that, you're going to take actions in your own hands to make sure your family feeds itself. And that's why it's so important for us to gather together in the I.S.U.P.K. Why? Because we have a moral code which will prevent us from committing any such atrocious act. We will not be unaliving one another. We will not be stealing from one another. Everybody will be fed. But there is no brotherhood outside the I.S.U.P.K. And you think there is. And because you thought there was, Carmelo Anthony got 35 years. Because you thought there was, individuals like Chow are able to set up shop in our neighborhoods. Let's keep reading. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Again, listen, people are going to take action in their own hands. You understand? Matters in their own hands. Verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. It shall not be able. You understand? You're gonna not just imagine during COVID, the first wave of COVID, not everybody was able to travel, right? Imagine that. In Montreal, we're not even able to travel to Toronto, which is just like what, 4 or 5 hours away by car. Now imagine a apocalyptic scenario. Go watch the movie. What's it called again? Greenland. Watch the Greenland, the first movie. Watch the second one. Imagine that. That's exactly the stage that is being set in order for us to be free from captivity. You're going to have to rely on one another that is in your zone. All these Mexicans that you say you hate, you're going to have to rely on them. All those black people you say, are criminals or whatnot, you're going to have to rely on one another. But you're only able to rely on each other by coming into the school. You're going to try to rely on one another outside the school, which is still beautiful nonetheless, but you don't know true brotherhood. You're going to steal from one another. You're going to try and sleep with one another's wife. You're going to try and, get rid of some mouths to feed. That's what you're going to try to do. In the I.S.U.P.K, everybody will be fed. Everybody will be protected. All men, women, children, boys, and girls will be protected and fed. You understand? Let's keep reading a bit more. Verse 18. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Listen, going back to the first thing we spoke about in the class, you sisters are going to realize you're going to need a man in the house. A man of the Lord. You understand? A man that will not prostitute you for a bag of rice. You're going to need that type of man that will lay down his life for you and the children. You're going to realize that the hard way. And that's a sad thing for you to have to realize that the hard way. So you go down to verse 19. Salakia. 2nd Esdras chapter 15, verse 19. Then we'll end the class. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. You're not going to give a damn. You're going to go steal from one another. You can't feed. Listen, the money will feel like in Egypt. You will sell your goods. You don't have cattle. You will sell your car. You will sell your house. You will sell a piece of land to get some food. It's going to come to a point you have nothing to offer no more. And what will happen then? 2nd Esdras 15 and 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbors. Even if you gather together outside the I.S.U.P.K, which would be a beautiful thing, but you have no brotherhood, you have no moral code, you're still going to act the way the oppressor taught you to act. What will happen then? A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. You're going to want to unalive one another at some point to either satisfy your lust or your hunger. You're going to get rid of some mouths to feed. That's what you're going to do. That made up brotherhood you think you have in your criminal organization, in the Crips, the Blood, the GDs, the Latin Kings, and whatnot, is going to fade away. It was never there in the first place. There is no brotherhood outside the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge. Let's finish that verse. 2nd Esdras 15 and 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. What we just read earlier. You cannot spoil a man's house or his goods unless you bind the strong man first. Sisters, you're going to need that strong man in your house to protect you and the children. When there is no hedge, the possession is spoiled. We read that in the beginning of the first half of the class. In order for the family to be protected, they need a strong man. Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Listen, it doesn't matter for the lack of bread. You understand? You're going to be distressed. Everybody's going to not know what. Do you know what it is to. When you're hungry, you can't think straight. You understand? You imagine being starving for a week. You know? You can't think straight. You're gonna be in survival, fight or flight mode. That's what you're going. That's the time that you're about to be in right now. And with no brotherhood, with no moral code, with no blueprint on how to act towards one another, you're going to collapse like this society. Why? Because the lack of brotherhood you learned it from this society. And just like it will collapse, every ways that you learn from this society will collapse with it. You understand? Meaning every way you learn from the society will collapse with it. You're not going to know how to act anymore. You don't even know how to act now. What makes you think you're going to be able to know how to act then? Right? That's why you have to come to the school. Gathered together, O nation not desired. In that little sanctuary where we are dispersed, where we are scattered, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native only have one hope. And that hope is only found throughout this Bible. This is our blueprint to get out of captivity. Brotherhood. Knowing our identity. This is how we fix our families. We fix our marriages. We fix the beef we had within neighborhood, within communities, black and brown and native, or whatever issues we have. It's in that blueprint is the Bible. And you're gonna find the hard way. We just read it, seditions. What did we just finished reading 2nd Ezra 15 and 19. You're gonna rob from one another. You're gonna kill one another because you don't know how to act. You understand? And y'all are not ready to see a loved one die out of hunger. Y'all not ready to see. Y'all not ready for the days of tribulations that are about to befall upon us. And to make sure you're ready, you contact these numbers. You look for I.S.U.P.K in your zone. You come to class. You shed yourself of the world. If you're a young man, you put in all black. You understand? If you're a sister, you cover your head. You understand? With that, we're going to end the class right here. I'm Priest and Officer 500 Barak Yala of the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General YAHANNA. We're going to get a security announcements, end the class, conclude the class, and y'all make sure you tune into John Mahaiman's scripture breakdown class. Will start right now on 1 West I.S.U.P.K online classes. Bring all your questions. You understand? Get all your questions answered. Get the solutions to all the problems that you face in your life on a daily basis. With that, we'll see you next week. Will be the class in French. So probably see you the week after. That say Shalom, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Brakatham to all the brothers, and Yahweh Shamar Alatham Bahashem Yashai to all the sisters. We'll get security announcements. We'll end the class. The water, Israel. Is the I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out on 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Rule for new brother and sister: when a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After the 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10, which means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocation. The next upcoming holy convocation will be the memorial of blowing of trumpets, which would be the first day of the 7th month, Friday, September 11th, 2026. You can read more about it in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 24 to 25. Reminder to all Akim Wakwathian, reminder to all brothers and sisters to check the bulletin board in the hallway of their school if they have a physical zone, a physical building, Salakia. And if any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf. With that, so we'll give a courtesy salute to the brothers and a courtesy salute to the sisters. Minavijal Imajim, which means to stand. We'll give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Minavijal Imajim Shabbat. Imajim, Barak. Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Brakatham, meaning Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai bless y'all. Yajamata, which means hands down. Sar, which means to turn it for the sisters. If you have any in your presence, we'll give them a courtesy salute as well. Minavijal Imajim Shabbat. Imajim, Barak. Yahweh Shamar Alatan Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh watch over y'all in the name of Yahweh Shai. Yajamata means hands down, class dismissed. The water, Israel.
We have a gift that nobody can see, that was handed over to us to do something amazing. Take the gift, man. Take the gift. forcing you to do something you have never believed.
I ain't even impressed. What you expect? You see this shit? Hold on. There's one West on my chest.
One West world. That's it.
Fuck a street code, let a priest love. No stain, great Dane with the leash off. I ain't nothing of this world, I need a respawn. I just know they wish that I would stop, but I keep going. These fringes on my calf like a tube sock. I used to stuff the loose ones in my shoebox. And we came a long way from the curbside. Now we looking from the top from a bird eye. And I can't leave my brother on the battlefield. Lord, let the hell rain, we gon' see who real. And you know they gon' hate when they see a plate. So imagine what they doing for $250,000. And we really the only ones going to war. You niggas just be talking like y'all won the war. I made love to this truth and there's no divorce. My Spanish mommy call me Poppy like a corner store. Let me show you how to do it. City living by the word, I think it's time he proved. I think you better use your head before you fucking lose it. And say the acting for the camera, this is not a movie. I pray to God I don't fall off. I ain't nothing like y'all. Niggas think they slime, cut their head off a python. Blame me for my outlook, never counted the lookouts. The world said I wasn't shit, but look how I turned out. Not so bad, huh? Why you mad, huh? We go hard, but go harder for the have-not. Listen, when that oil hit your leg, then you can't stop. Your feet better hit the ground running, this shit bedrock. Man, we tried to put him on, but he sleep. Waking up the people, that's the job for a priest. Hopped out the wheel, fringes swinging like a pendulum. You heard of the tribes, where the fuck you think they get it from? Look, I'm a soldier, get the order, then I get it done. Got some big shit to split the water, make these niggas run. Why you hurt? If I told the truth, then I showed you love. Let me prove it, wanna move right, let me show you how to do it. Let me show you how to do it. City living by the word, I think it's time he proved. I think you better use your head before you fucking lose it. And say the acting for the camera, this is not a movie.
Don't step over the line though. Everybody, anybody, it's up for everybody. And that's not even, I got bigger fish to fry. I got people to say. I ain't even on a rap, so I already beat the rap shit.
Hey, listen, brothers and sisters, man. If you like what you hear, hit the subscribe button, man. Subscribe to this channel. And also, please, go to ISUPK.com and pay your tithe. Drop me some cash so we can move around this planet like we need to, man, and do the things we need to do.
They're one West.